I'm finally speaking to Avigail's Yedidat Nefesh. I would say also a chavruta. Shani, thank you so much for being here with me.
Matana, thank you so much for the zchut, both the zchut to be able to speak with you and particularly about Abigail, Zachrona Livracha. And every time I say that, it's very difficult to say Zachrona Livracha because, as I had mentioned to you, I hear her voice all the time. I find that sharing words of her Torah just keeps her with me, even when she's not here. So thank you.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. I was just listening. I was telling you that I was listening to her shiur and on the Akedah, because I have so many questions on Parshat Akedah. And I'm sad that I didn't have the chance to analyze it with her, because I'm sure she would give me so much clarity and comfort. But I was watching it and I just felt like she was in the room with me. And I'm like, oh, wow, she's still alive. We can tap into Avigail, her legacy that she left. And we're going to be speaking about her legacy. And I'm grateful for people that knew her like you did, that are willing to share more about her legacy, that we can continue it, because she was a giant. She was a giant that was very humble, that not many got to see her because she was so humble, so humble. So, Shani, share with us a little bit how you got to know her. How did you meet Avigail?
So such a zchut. As someone who made Aliyah at age 19, and I was married in the kollel of Yeshivat Har Etzion, and Abigail at that point wasn't yet married, but she had really, I'm going to say she was like my older sister, and at the same time, really a very special, as you said beautifully, both the Yedidat Nefesh and a Chavruta, because she always showed me the way, always one or two steps ahead of me. So, for example, we had both learned in Matan. My Chavruta, actually in Gemara, was her sister-in-law. And when I wanted to finish my degree after a year of studying in Matan, I continued in Matan. And through Matan, we knew each other a little, but it was really the year after when I went to Bar-Ilan University. So she was also in Bar-Ilan. I was finishing my bachelor's and she was just starting her master's. And I remember the first time that we really had, I'm going to say, that close conversation when I realized this is going to be a friend then met for life was in the Bar-Ilan library, the Judaic Studies library. And she came up to me. And again, we had known each other by face. This goes back, by the way, mamash 32 years. This is 32 years ago. And she knew me and she said, wow, Shani, we haven't seen each other in a little while. Again, we had attended many shiurim together. And because she had already finished her bachelor's, she knew what were the best classes to take. And I told her I was considering taking a class with Professor Uriel Simon on Pshat and Drash on Akitat Yitrak. And she turned to me, she said, Shani, you must take the class. It's going to change your life. It's going to change the way that you look at Tanakh. And then obviously she told me exactly which other classes to register for. And here was a novice Ola. She, Baruch Hashem, having both a fluent English and a fluent Hebrew because her parents, Baruch Hashem, had made Aliyah. And she knew the whole system. Anytime I was stuck with anything technical, anything bureaucratic, I always told Abigail, Baruch Hashem, everyone should have an Abigail in their lives. And I realized at a certain point, a lot of people do. A lot of people have someone that they can call for their tax information and someone else for what they should register for and someone else to learn with and someone else to teach them the ropes about the Israeli educational system. Just most people have to pay someone for that. And I had Abigail as my friend and mentor, mamash, in that regard. And that class of Akitat Yitrak was truly eye-opening, and it created for us, I think, a certain avenue of mutual language and expressions. We were both, when we were both teaching, and we both would teach Pshat and Drash, we would joke that we had the same source book that we use on Akitat Yitzchak, and we would share material. I remember one year, Abigail couldn't find the source book, so I gave her mine. Another year, I couldn't find mine. She had found hers, and in addition to that, Abigail always took things, as I said, to the next level. We learned both Akitat Yitzchak, from employing the devices of Pshat and Midrash and Umanut and Shira. And when it came to understanding Akitat Yitzchak through Shira, so this was also completely new to me, not being brought up with Israeli poetry. And part of also understanding the poetry was appreciating piyut, liturgy. And Abigail started giving, as I'm sure, many shiurim on piyut of Akitat Yitzchak, and truly inspired me. We would speak about, okay, what are we going to incorporate from this piyut, what from that piyut? And I would sometimes take the shiur more in the direction of Midrash, and she more in the direction of Shira. And it was truly wonderful that we, not only through Akitat Yitzchak, but as you can imagine, so many different topics. I remember she was teaching in Midrashet Moriah, and I was teaching in Machon Gold, and where her family was also involved. And then when I started teaching in Midrashet Moriah, she had gotten married. That time I remember they went a few years later on Shlichut to Bokas, and we continued just our discussions. Anytime we would learn something in Chumash, in Navi together, it was really just a wonderful opportunity. Can you imagine seeing a friend? It doesn't make a difference. At a bar mitzvah, at a wedding, I remember every firm she would come by to deliver Mishloach Manos. As you can imagine, it was always her Tanakh theme. So one year, her whole family was dressed in purple because they were Am Segula. Of course, the gold Segula. But that's Abigail. And we would always discuss different creative expressions. But I would say that our real Kirvat Nefesh was in 1997, 96, 97. I had approached also Yael Ziegler, who's my neighbor in Alon Shvut, and Avigail is in Alon Shvut. And in the middle, she had moved to Bet Shemesh. We're in the middle of these years, but we worked together extremely closely. I was always bothered, and this is part of Abigail's legacy as well. We were all very much involved in not just teaching seminary students. Now, I think anyone, Baruch Hashem, who has the Torah knowledge and wants to inspire, that's what they do. I think that really what we both were completely set on was not simply to inspire students in Torah, but to really teach them skills and to open up their eyes to the beauty of Torah, to open up their eyes to Nachamaleruetis Parshanut. And what was remarkable about Abigail is that she was everything. She could teach a class in Pshat, she could teach a class in Parshanut, she could teach a class in Midrash, she could teach a class in Piyut, she could teach a class in Navi, she could teach a class in Ketuvim, she could teach a class in modern Israeli poetry. And that was Abigail's. And that part of what was so remarkable is that, again, she was in all these different worlds, in the traditional yeshiva world, in the academic world, in women's learning. And that's why she really was the perfect person to go to. Together with Yael Ziegler, I said, that's it. All these said, there are so many programs for men to learn over the summer. There's Morasha Kolel and this Kolel, and Hezra Yeshivo don't end until Kayetzman, until Tisha B'Av. You know what? We want to, I want to give women what we didn't have growing up, and that was a genuine yeshiva experience of high-level Talmud Torah in a yeshiva. So I always like to say, and Abigail would make fun of me, that I'm more the dreamer and she's the practical one, which is why I miss her so much as well, because I know how much more I could get done if Abigail was right by my side. And she literally said, that's it. We're going to take over Yeshivat Har Etzion, and we're going to have 3 weeks. And we started the Gush Summer Learning Program for women. It was remarkable. Literally, the women would dorm in the Gush dorms, and they learned in the base medrash of Yeshivat Har Etzion. So we were there for 2 years, and then we were in Neve Chana. And we basically did this until the Second Intifada in 2001. And just to underscore Abigail's very practical approach, now that I think about it, I think we were very much, I think, a perfect sulam, the ladder of Yaakov Avinu, sulam mutav arta b'rosho magia hashamayim. She would always say, Shani, your rosh can go b'shamayim, because she's the sulam, she's the ladder, mutav arta. And it was really, I remember deliberating and saying, no, people are going to come. Even in 2001, people are going to come. We have this phenomenal program. It had grown from 15 women to 75 women over the course of the summer. Mothers, daughters coming to learn together. It's truly remarkable. And just as you began, Matana, with Abigail's humility, at a certain point, there were so many technical aspects, the payments and the correspondence. and the rental and the insurance. But at a certain point, Abigail, brilliant Abigail, said, you know what? Yeah, Ellen Shani, you should be the primary teachers. I'm going to step away from the teaching because originally we had divided it basically equally. We were the three dominant teachers and running and special programs and Shabbosim and Kumsitzim. And Abigail said, I'm going to step away and I'm going to take care of the technicalities. And I remember looking at her saying, no, you can't do that. So no, I'll teach 1 or 2 classes. This is out of many classes. And even as I look back, I just think about that. She was more qualified than anyone. And she said, but right now you need this taken care of. I'm willing to really not have that glory of the classroom. And I remember having that discussion with her, saying, but Abigail, part of what you need is you love teaching. So you need to be in that classroom. She said, yes, but it's okay. I can be in the classroom once or twice a week. I don't have to be there every day. She said, I'll take care of what I need to take care of so that you and Yael can be in the classroom with the students.
Wow. A true leader. I feel like when I'm hearing this story, they say a leader does whatever needs to be done in order for the people in the community to achieve greatness. And she really did that.
Yes. And Baruch Hashem, that she left a legacy both of a phenomenal mishpacha. And I say I had a special zkhut, especially to know her older daughters and to have the zkhut of being invited to their weddings, and her sons as well. And we discussed so many chinuch aspects, and also to have my children interact with her children and to learn and teach together. So she had a legacy of a magnificent family, a legacy of also all her learning and teaching. What people also forget about at Matana, you're right, she was a real leader. She wasn't just a mentor for me. She really was a trailblazer in so many areas. So while I was teaching in Midrash at Lindenbaum, all of a sudden I saw her next to the Xerox machine Wednesday, and our lives were always happening. We were, again, very good friends. And it wasn't just smachot. And she said, yes, she's in the first machzor of Torah Rabbaniyot, these women who were advocates for Jewish law. And again, without any fanfare, not any fanfare. So we saw each other then almost every day, and she'd be learning in the Beit Midrash and explaining to me. Here I was learning at the same time Hilchot Nida B'iyun, and she's learning Choshen Mishpat. And we would talk about the overlap. And we spoke exactly about the fact that it's such a bracha that we're living in a generation where women can approach Rabbanim, and they can also approach women to discuss halachic issues. And I feel that she was not just a partner, but a role model in being able to say, okay, you can be frum and you can be modest about this, and you don't have to make a big fanfare, and you don't have to be in the newspapers, and you can just mamash with that kol madaka, with dumiyat tehillah, but she never sought after any spotlight whatsoever, and truly inspired me. Was there for so many women. We'll never know even how many women she helped in that regard, because it was all kept very private and sensitive. And that was also it. I just have to say this also. She's one of the most sensitive people. And I don't just mean, okay, sensitive and forthcoming and helpful. Just, she had this like sixth sense of always knowing both her children. She would tell me, okay, this is what Devorah needs now. And each one in their own way. And I really miss her. Sorry. And she would have that sense of being able, not just with her own children and family members, but knowing for every single person and woman, and I'm going to say friend, she was always like that step ahead. This is what like Shani needs to hear now. So I don't know if you know this, but as I said, she was always a step ahead, always a mentor. So she had breast cancer, and then I had breast cancer. Literally, as she was going through her her remission, that's when I was diagnosed. And when she was going through it, she was very private about everything. And I remember she called to tell me even, and she was so matter-of-fact about it. Before I had breast cancer, so Shani, I just want you to know, because we were teaching together in various branches of Matana at the time, and I know we would overlap a lot, and all of a sudden there were weeks that I didn't see her. And so basically she explained beforehand, instead of wondering, where's Abigail? She would call me up and, I want you to know, I don't want to make a big deal about this. I have breast cancer. I'm doing the requisite treatments and I'm going to be fine. And Baruch Hashem, she was in remission. And then I was diagnosed with breast cancer. As I told you, I said, Abigail, whatever we do, we have to do together. So that's exactly what happened. And I knew that I had to reach out to her, and it was very hard because I didn't want to bother her. The feeling you don't want to bother someone else when they're going through refuah. So this is Abigail for you. She would call me up almost on a weekly basis and say, Shani, we have to meet. But I wanted to not interrupt my life at all. So, okay, Abigail, as soon as I have time, we'll meet. As soon as I have time. And that didn't happen until finally Abigail said, Shani, she called up on a Motzi Shabbos, said, we're meeting tomorrow. That was very Abigail. I told you, very matter of fact. We're meeting tomorrow. So I told her, and one thing that we had spoken about is that what had helped her, and really what was helping me, was to try to not disrupt one's teaching schedule, because we both loved teaching Torah so much that we found that it gave us a lot of koach. And she's the one who told me that. She said, Shani, whenever you have the koach, make sure that you continue teaching. So that's what I was doing. So I said, but Abigail, I'm going to be in Bet Shemesh, and where she lives. I said, but I really have to go to Yerushalayim. She said, Shani, I'll meet you halfway between Bet Shemesh and Yerushalayim. And that's what we did. And she was just there waiting for me. That's exactly it. She was just about lifnim, Yishurat Adin. Yes. And she knew exactly what I needed to hear. She knew exactly. She was so matter of fact. She said, okay, this is what you're going to do now. And then they're going to give you this choice. And these are the factors. So as I told you, whatever it is that she was studying, when she was the most comprehensive in the study, she would just delve into everything. Can you imagine going through a medical challenge and having someone already do all the research for you, tell you everything that you have to consider, tell you all the factors? Now, again, you make your own decisions, but there was Abigail telling me why she did this and why she did that and why this surgery and why this, and just remarkable. And here she is, and still, like Mamasha was right after, I think, her last initial treatments. And can you also imagine the encouragement? Here I am, and you don't know what HaKadosh Baruch Hu has in store for you and what's around the corner. And here's Abigail, beautiful, healthy Abigail, telling me everything's going to be okay because she's okay. There's nothing more encouraging than that. And I will never forget, not just that conversation, but obviously all the very heart-to-heart conversations.
Yeah.
The last 2 weeks.
Wow. Did she share with you in her last weeks what kept her going all along with her relationship with Hashem, like the complexity and stuff like that? Was she ever questioning, or she never questioned? She was so in love with Hashem that she just didn't. Like the Akedah, like when I was watching the Akedah, her Shiur Akedah, I felt like she was talking to herself.
Share with you, Nahum, you're 100% right. And she felt that this is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted from her, then that's exactly it. Hineni. If you would ask me what word, I would say depicts Abigail. It's Hineni. I'm here to do whatever you need. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I'm here at your service. At the same time, as I said, she knew everyone well. So Deborah, even when she was sick, she went, at that point, I was still in Midrash Lindenbaum, and she would come in to learn with her daughter, Deborah, her oldest daughter, and Nechama, who my son also taught in Lindenbaum Lod. So Nechama has a phenomenal sense of humor. All her kids, but Nechama I know the most as having really also a split to get to know her before she got married, a tremendous sense of humor. And she would tell me she would say, Shani, sometimes I have to laugh through this. And she would tell me about singing literally black humor with Nechama. And I'm looking at her thinking, I can't believe you're singing a song about your cancer. I can't believe this. And she'd say, look, literally. And the week before, she'd say, Shani, look at this. Look, and she would show me the video. The two of them singing. Abigail and Nechama on the couch, literally laughing about what she's going through. But also, I just said, this is someone from just a different place, different spirit, mamash. And I still think about that video very often. It's called Nechama because I really want to see it again. They were just a mother and daughter sitting and sharing their feelings, and it wasn't with any anger, none whatsoever. It was just, okay, that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu has in store. We're going to make the most of this. And I don't know how much longer I have to live. I'm going to do every treatment possible. And that's what she did.
Wow.
I'm just hitting myself because I remember I was actually in Bet Shemesh for Shabbos before she died. And I was giving shiurim. And I so badly wanted to stop by. And we were never sure when someone's sick, should you stop by? Should you not stop by? So I didn't. And I still hit myself because I know that I could have learned so much more from that. But Baruch Hashem, this is also just Mishamayim. We were talking during that time. And obviously I'd gotten to visit her in the hospital a few times. Even Rosh Hashanah, when she had been re-diagnosed. I'm getting all choked up, but really, she had been re-diagnosed and I was starting a new treatment. She was still the most upbeat you can imagine someone to be, telling me, and this is what I thought was unbelievable as well, it's Erev Rosh Hashanah, and we were talking about Yom Hadin, sharing Torah, literally like for a few moments. I forgot that we were in Shari Tzedek in the hospital.
Wow.
I thought that we were back in the base midrash. She was like, Shani, what are you giving shiurim on? And it was a harusa. I said, Abigail, what do you, and without even, I didn't have to say, Abigail, what do you have to say? It really was just talking in Talmud Torah. And then she asked me, okay, honey, I want you to go through each one of your children. Because remember, it's about the first week or two of school. I want you to go through each one of your children and tell me what they're up to. Again, how many people do this? I'm coming to visit her. She wants to hear everything about my children. Like, Abigail, can we just go through your children? No, Shani, you're here. I want to hear about your children. I haven't heard of your children. It's New Year. And where's this one? Where's that one? Also, just this, what I mean by a different sense and the sensitivity. And I always wonder, did she say that also? I know she was genuinely interested in my children. At the same time, just to make me feel that it's not, that our friendship isn't about her and it's not about coming to visit her. It's about friendship.
Wow.
Friendship means you share on either side. And they spoke a few times in between. And because she was so upbeat and optimistic, Matana, the whole time I was sure she was going to get better. So even that Shabbos, I was like, okay, so I won't visit her this Shabbos because I'm going to come and visit her another time. And it was Pesach time. And I remember it was the week before Rosh Chodesh Nisan. And I was going in for a checkup. Baruch Hashem, I was already, I guess you can say, also in remission. It was after, and I was going to see the oncologist, a new oncologist. And all of a sudden, Yehuda walks by and he says, oh, Shani, Abigail's here. Literally, like down the hallway. What? Mishamayim. And I also thought, and okay, she's here. I'm here for a routine checkup. She's here for a routine checkup. And when I came to sit with her, she was attached to an IV. I could tell that she was very weak. And this was also just remarkable. She was sitting there, and one of her sisters was going to come because her father was in the hospital at the same time. Can you imagine? And here she is, worried about her father, making sure that someone's going to be with her father. It's just keep it of aim of a different sense. And so all the nurses were around and they kept coming over to her. Do you need anything? Do you need anything? Because it was like a very long type of chemo. You had to go and then just sit for a while and then come back. And I told the nurses, I said, I just want to make sure that you know that you're who your patient is. She's not like any patient. This is like the Nechama Boetz of our generation. And they took me aside. They said, we know. She really, and Baruch Hashem, like that they knew, but they didn't want her to hear that they knew, and which was also because I'm sure she would always tell them no. And they would always say that she was the most sensitive, the most always thinking. I saw it myself while I was sitting there with her. And this was remarkable.
That's what everybody told me. Every person that I interviewed said that her hakarat tov to the tzevet, that they saw it firsthand, was beyond. Like, they always knew that she was into hakarat tov, but hakarat tov when she was in so much pain and it's so weak, and verbally expressing from every single person in the tzevet shel habeit cholim in detail the hakarat tov. They said it was the shiur of gratitude, just witnessing her there.
It's so true, Matana, so true. And if we're speaking about hakarat tov, then it was definitely to the tzevet, but also to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Can you imagine? She has tubes coming out of her body. She had to go to the bathroom in the middle. And I still remember the way that she said Asher Yatzar. And that's a lesson I take with me for life. Asher Yatzar. I can't even tell you how long it took her to say it, because it was with such kavanah and a lifelong message. I was standing just a few feet away from her, and I remember just like standing. I was sitting actually, but sitting in awe and watching her say this. And then this is what I meant by a teacher. When she was supposed to. That's the thing she always had, as I said, the sense of humor throughout all this. She said, Shani, what do you think? This was a week before Rosh Chodesh Nisan. She said, I was asked to give a shiur in Matan Renana. I was asked to give a shiur for Rosh Chodesh Nisan. What do you think? Now, again, she has tubes coming out of her body. And Abigail, Ezrat Hashem, you're going to be fine. You'll give the shiur. And then only later I realized, obviously, she's saying it with tongue-in-cheek over there. She said, I can tell a few weeks ago, I was able still, like there were times that I had a lot of energy. I said, but I never know how much energy I'm going to have. So I think I should write to Oshra Koren, as the director of Matan Renana. I think I should write to her that I may not be able to, but I hope this is what and she asked me to type it for her. So here she's saying she doesn't know how much koach she'll have. And she didn't have the koach to type it as a message. And I typed it for her, and I said, Abigail, we're going to put in then that Ezrat Hashem in the future. You'll be able to get many more shiurim in Matan Renana. And she said, yeah, that really is the goal, Ezrat Hashem in the future. It's only a few weeks later. She passed away.
Wow.
I still remember every single detail of that conversation. That was our last panim panim conversation. And every time I see Yehuda, I thank him for just telling me, oh, Abigail's down the hall. Wow. Yes. That her, as we were talking about her legacy, and can't forget how much Torah she left, not only in the realm of, as I said, in Tanakh, in Parshanut, Baruch Hashem. I said, Baruch Hashem, that she was able to so comprehensively put together her series on the VBM on the Parshanim of the Torah, and that it was compiled first in Hebrew and now in English. As a matter of fact, everyone knew as soon as it came out, that was the gift. I think I have 5 copies in my house, because everyone who wants to give me a gift gave me the gift of Avigail's Sefer. But to be honest, I'll just share this with you. I bought it before it was even really in the stores. I said, I need to make sure that I have to have it. I have to be the one to buy it. And it came out in English as well a little while ago, of course. Now I have a few copies of that as well, Baruch Hashem. And it's not only that she left it as a legacy for so many people to learn from, but anytime I teach Tanakh and I mention all the Parshanim and the backgrounds of the Parshanim, and I tell people how significant it is that in order to really understand methodology of Parshanot Tanakh, biblical exegesis, you have to understand where Rashi is from, and with Rabbi Yonah Ibn Janach. You have to go back to Rosh Tzaddik Gaon and the early Targumim. And I say, I know this sounds very esoteric, and it sounds, wow, so much material, biographical material, methodological material. Baruch Hashem, Dr. Avigail Rock put together all of this information in a comprehensive and organized compendium. And everyone, I think that every single student of Tanakh, which is basically every member of Am Yisrael, should read it and have this phenomenal background. And I hear, if you open it up, I don't know if you have a copy of the Sefer, you open it, you hear Abigail's voice, you hear her
Mamash.
diction, you hear
Mamash.
her. She's so organized. As a matter of fact, we made a deal that she was going to write, and she kept telling me, Shani, when are you going to finish your doctorate? When are you going to finish your doctorate? And we were both learning by Professor Tashma, and she was writing also, again, a little bit with him. And I told her, I said, Abigail, and as Bet Hashem, when the time comes, and I hope that you'll be my editor. I'm not submitting it until you edit it, because she's just so organized. Unfortunately, I wasn't efficient enough to get it to her, but I hear her voice. I really do. So I feel that as Rat Hashem, B'Shah Tova, when the time comes, and in addition to Tanach, and in addition to Halacha, and Piyut, and just as you said, she also wove in Machshava to everything. And her friendship, her matter-of-factness, it's also so beautiful that she had learned so much. She was really a bridge between, and I say, the generation of Nachama Leibowitz to more, I'm going to say, the modern Israeli Torah scholarship. And that was really Abigail, really her feet in both worlds, and a master. Then I love. She would quote Nachama Leibowitz very often, and very often on the story and Sefer Bamidbar and God, Chati Menashe, where Nachama Leibowitz talks about how you have to understand the time period of Tanakh and appreciate the messages of each one, of whether it's Torah, Nevi'im, for each time period, and how you hear the messages differently. And she would always incorporate that in every shiur. What is Yirmiyahu saying for his generation? What is Yirmiyahu saying for our generation? What is Shlomo HaMelech saying for his generation? What's he saying for our generation? And that's also just something that I think so many of her students, but definitely her peers and colleagues and friends, and anyone who hears any one of her shiurim will be able to glean from and fall in love with Tanakh. We would talk a lot in similar language of how Tanakh has to come to life, how our goals are to enable students to see the beauty of Tanakh, the dynamic nature of Tanakh, and how it comes to life. And even as I say this, Matana, I know I'm talking too much. I'm sorry. I really shouldn't.
I'm loving every word. I'm loving it.
But I just think of at times of walking the streets of Yerushalayim with her. And some people just get excited, and other people talk about how excited they are. And every once in a while, she would just turn and she would say, "This is just so beautiful, so beautiful." And I always take that with me now, that I talk about, again, how excited, and to share that excitement. And she would always quote that in this more bed of Tehillim, "Samachti b'omrim li beit Hashem nelech," that it's not enough to go to Yerushalayim. You have to share with everyone how excited you are. Part of the nature of Yerushalayim is that we get to go together. You get to share these friendships. And speaking of Yerushalayim, and every single time that I teach Yerushalayim Shul Zahav, I say this is a shiur that I learned from Avigail. And even if I've taken it in different directions, it's based on Avigail. And every time, when you say you were listening to her shiur on the Akedah, to a certain degree, my go-to when I think of Avigail is I think of, and I've heard her give the shiur at different times, but one of the last times that year right before she was diagnosed, I had asked her to also teach a Tanakh teacher's training program in Matana. And she wasn't always feeling great. She said, "Shani, I don't," and I pushed her and pushed her. I said, if I'm starting a Tanakh teacher's training program, you have to be a teacher. You are the epitome of a Tanakh teacher. And she did, and she came. And even though at the beginning of the year, she said, "Shani, I don't know if I'll be able to make it every week." I don't know if you know this about Abigail as well. She's the most organized person, the most efficient, the most timely. She said she was going to be somewhere. She would always get there 10 minutes early. And she, mamash, also such a role model in abiding by her commitment and knowing what her kochot are. And she came every single week. Now we had an end of the year Shabbaton, which overlapped with Yom Yerushalayim. And she gave the shiur, and so that's exactly what I still remember. She was standing against a wall with windows, and the sunlight was shining through. And some of it, she was surrounded by this beautiful light of Shabbos Yerushalayim as she gave the shiur. And just, she would speak about Nomi Shemer, how Yerushalayim Shel Zahav is like a modern day piyut. You can't just see it as a song, you have to see it as a shiur kodesh. And she just infused it with kedusha. And I remember we were speaking about Moshe and Eliyahu, and she had mentioned something, and we kept talking after lunch and after the shiur. And I remember thinking to myself, what a spot that we get to talk Torah like this together, that I get to learn so much Torah from her. And in Yerushalayim, whenever, anytime I give a shiur on Yerushalayim, I just think of Avigail. It's really the modern walking around with the beautiful tiara of Yerushalayim.
Mamash. You know, what I'm hearing from people that were very close to her, the same thing, that she lived alive and she incorporated the beauty of Torah into her daily life. I think it was Yael that shared with me that right after Yamim Noraim, she would dance after Yom Kippur, like just dance b'shira of the piyutim or whatever she was feeling afterwards, the avodat kohen or whatever it was that she was connecting to. And she celebrated the day before what she was experiencing. People usually, okay, it's Yom Kippur's over, great. We fasted, we were over. Okay, now next, Arba Minim, Sukkah, right? The next. But she took it with her and she literally lived alive the Tanakh.
Mamash. You've said that beautifully. It was really true. Really true. Whether it was a shiur on Akita, and you can see, just as you said, you could see the dialectic on her face. You could see the tension that she was describing in the heart and mind of Avram Avinu. She just, I can't even. It was expressed so poignantly that you knew that she was feeling this herself. Or whether it's, as you said, the jubilation or the ever. She also ate beautiful shiurim on Tehillim. And you can see the emotional expression and the excitement and everything. As I said, just walking the streets of Yerushalayim or arguing about Parshanot. And really, I felt sometimes, I told Avigail once, I said, we were arguing really about how to understand something. And we both were respecting each other's opinions. And I thought, wow, these are like machlokot of Rav and Abaye, meaning this is really, it may have even been, that halachic topic. And I remember thinking, wow, we're both like taking each other so seriously and both very adamant. And you felt the passion. You felt also that Avigail, everything was just osim et ha'emet mipnei shehu emet.
Mamash.
No fanfare.
Mamash.
The truth.
Wow. Yeah.
I missed that also. I missed that.
Yeah, like very ekroni. Her ikaron was because it was truth, no ego, but because that's the right thing. So you do the right thing. And if it's not the right thing, you have to just say, as you said, a matter of fact, like she was just very straightforward. My sister shared with me something today, and she shared with me that my father told her father, they're brothers, and my father told her father something. I don't remember exactly what it was that she shared, but I said, Kvira, isn't that hurtful? Don't you think that was hurtful of Abba to say that to Uncle Meshel? Like, not like in an unsensitive way. He's like, no, that was ahavat olam. He said it because he loved him so much. There was how could you not when you love somebody so much? And it takes me back to your story. So you could be politically correct and say, okay, it might hurt her feeling versus saying, no, I'm going to do the right thing because she needs to hear, Shani needs to hear what she needs to do now. And I could be politically correct and step back and say, okay, if she didn't ask me, I'm not going to say, but ahavat olam and adorat tamid is I'm going to do the right thing now, even if it can come off as politically not correct and, oh, maybe get not maybe even get hurt, but I'm going to do it because it's the right thing.
Matana, that was Abigail. That's exactly it. But it expressed itself in everything, meaning just doing the right thing, never cutting corners. And I remember with the summer program, there were always, okay, so the finances will round up to this. And no. Mamash. Can I share with you one of her favorite phrases? Everyone knows this. It's always, Berachel b'tzcha haktana, right? A very popular Israeli idiom based on, okay, paying attention to the details. She would always, I remember she was the first person that I ever heard this from coming to Israel. And still, every time I hear it, I think of Abigail. Berachel b'tzcha haktana. We're going to pay attention. I feel like she's saying it now, even with her tone. Berachel b'tzcha haktana. We have to make sure to do everything in the most perfect way and the right way down to the last detail.
But you know why? Because she saw the collective. Because if we don't do down to the details, somebody can get hurt, and that's not okay. Or we can overlook something. And everybody's important. Now we're going to make sure that everything is taken care of. And everyone.
I always have to ask her for machila because I don't always have that zaykanut personality. And that's why I also met tonight. Just keep thinking, Abigail is still in my life. Abigail is still in our lives. I know we would be even better people. And that's why she still is in my life. I need her to be in my life. To really think about those values and think about her dreams and also hers, because we know how many dreams she had. Her dreams for her children, her dreams for her grandchildren, and Baruch are being fulfilled. And I imagine her mamash right next to the Kisei HaKavod, just looking down on her children and so proud of them, and seeing Baruch Hashem being the beautiful, both the Masim Tobim, the legacy that she not only left her family and her friends, but an entire world of Talmidot, Chachamim, and Chachamot who love learning Torah.
Yeah. And she taught people how to love learning, like how to have the enthusiasm of learning and the joy and the privilege of learning. Not only because you have to, it's a privilege and the joy.
That's 100%. The joy, the Torah Chayim, the invigoration and the rejuvenation. I have to share that one of really the favorite points of nachat that I have, and that's why I'm so grateful to you for this, is that whoever hears this, it's so wonderful when someone comes over and says, oh, Shani, I'm related to Abigail, or I learned this from Abigail, or I just got on the website and I saw this from Dr. Avigail Rock, and I heard that you know her. And I feel this special spot that, wow, it's not just, oh, this Abigail, it's, wow, I want to say each time, Abigail, look at the ripple effects of all your Torah, look at this. And it really brings so much joy, so much nachat, so much simcha. And it's amazing. I feel like at different stages and at different points of life and simcha and hardship, I feel in love like Abigail when Hashem sending different reminders and messages and just when I need it. When, okay, I'm thinking about this idea, or what would Abigail have said about everything that Am Yisrael is going through right now? I was recently listening to a shir she gave about Yirmiyahu. Less than a year. It was mamash Yimei and Tanach in her tzad, where it was always wonderful whenever I could make it to teach there, because we're usually here in Chutz in the summer. But that was one of our favorite days. Can I just share this with you? Also, Abigail, sorry, we're both, I don't know if you've ever been in Alon Shvut for the Yemei Iyun Tanach. It's phenomenal, uplifting thousands of students and teachers of Tanakh coming together in one area for 3 days of Tanach and Tiulim. Truly remarkable. So it's also wonderful because even though we live in Alon Shvat and Avigail and Bet Shemesh, we don't always get to see and to spend quality time with one another in this huge Beit Midrash. So because there's so many teachers and people working back and forth, and you're giving shiurim in front of hundreds of people, and there's a lot of excitement in the air. And I remember loving it, just passing each other in the yeshiva lobby and think, okay, you're giving the share. Oh no, we're overlapping. Oh wow, everyone's good to you, Abigail. And then, so after, I think it was the last day, Abigail comes up to me, Shani, how are your shiurim? And this, and we're giving each other mar makomot, we're exchanging sheets, and we're going over exactly what we taught one with the other. And Abigail says to me, she says, Shani, I just want you to know, they're having, because there are thousands of people, they set up all these duchanim, all these different shops to sell Judaica and to sell clothing and mitbachot and whatever it is. Abigail, this is Abigail. Practically said, Shani, you have to make sure before you leave, and because they're closing at 6, whatever it is, I still remember this. You have to go to this particular store. They're having an amazing sale on tzitzis. And she says, it's like, buy one, get the other one for free. That was Abigail. Here we are.
Practical. Let's be practical.
Talking about Inyanim V'Rumosher Lashelolam. And Abigail is always practical, the best sales, the best. Shouldn't you have to go? You have to know. And make sure that you pick up these tzitzis. And that, yes, of course I did, because I knew that then she would ask me, oh, did you pick up the tzitzis? So when she was right, it was a great sale.
You told that story so masterfully of describing the essence of who she was, because really, Berumo shel olam, and then the amcha, like feet on the ground. Let's really, okay, practically, we have to buy cheap tzitzis. Okay, so talk Torah and inspire, but we also have to take care of our family. So let's do it bad vivad and fit it in. And she was very into her boundaries and what needs to be done when, and made, as you said, she made time and space for everything with her knowing what's important and when.
100%. By the way, you can get the best and the fastest cheesecake recipe from Avigail. Shavuos, I don't stress about Shavuos. She makes everything mamash and delicious. That was also whatever she does. Mamash mi alomiver. And yes, just as you said, both
was it her favorite holiday, Shavuot? I always wondered if it was her favorite holiday.
So I think for Abigail, I think her children will tell you this also. I think every holiday was her favorite holiday. Mamash. Just seeing the beauty, seeing that Beinenu. I know how excited she was about Shavuot, and I know how much also she loved the story of Ruth, and also that year. This is just a few months before she passed away. She mentored students of Eshkolot, because each one of them had to deliver what we called bikurim, shirim lachot Shavuot. And her name is Alyssa Kirsch, and Abigail learned with her. Until this day, I give a shiur that was inspired by that shiur, and I call it Miracles in Midnight, but basically it's the parallels between Megillat Ruth and Sipor Yetziat Mitzrayim. And she just brilliant, meaning ideas that others didn't necessarily see before, and she would help weave it together. And I remember when Alyssa gave the shiur, she gave it and she said, and this idea was pointed out to me by Abigail, so very often when I give the shiur, so I quote both of them. And recently, I was giving the shiur in front of Alyssa, and I said, so I want to give credit to Alyssa and Abigail. And Alyssa said to me, Shani, I know you're giving you a lot of the credit, but really these ideas are Abigail's. And she said it was just amazing how she would see these parallels and develop it with her, so that really Alyssa had the feeling that she was weaving. That's a masterful teacher, weaving the ideas, but it was really Abigail who had seen them, who wanted her to recognize them on her own. And that's a pedagogy at its best. Love and sensitivity, and never putting a student down, ever. It was really, I observed her with her students and was able to see how she just spoke to each one of them as a peer.
Amcha, again. Anava, Amcha. We're learning together. I'm not your teacher. We're learning together.
And Matana, I want to thank you because I can tell the stories all night long. And what's interesting is that there were many close friends. I'm sure Yael spoke to you, also Yael and she, because they overlap for so many years, also Madrisha Gloria. So has many, and I think that's exactly it. She gave her friends. I think we all felt so close with her. And even if I didn't take it advantage enough, and I still regret that of all the conversations I could have and should have had. I know there's, just as he said, this very special Kirvat message. And I want to thank you for the opportunity to share just some of these stories. Even as you're saying it, so many other stories and memories are coming back. And they always will.
Yeah, and we have to continue her greatness.
Can I just share a posthumous story with you? That it was a few years ago, and I was interviewed in Camp Pask, and they asked, Rabbi Judah Michel asked the question. He said, if you could have a 10-minute or whatever it was, if you could meet anyone for coffee, who would it be? And it was a few months after Abigail had passed away. And I still miss her so much. And it was also a few months after Henny Machlis passed away. And but first I said, wow, I just want to I want to meet Abigail again. And this time I want to be the one to initiate. And I said that. I just breathe it and have coffee with Abigail. And just to show you Hashgahat Hashem, on the way back from Camp Pask, there was a girl there from Camp Pask, a staff, and she said, Shani, I'm actually Abigail's cousin. Like, what?
Wow.
And so
wow.
I didn't know her, but yes, exactly.
Wow.
But just as you said, she's something that anyone, everyone would want that extra time to talk, to learn, to be inspired, to just to feel connected to someone who just one age who's always looking really for the best of everyone around her. And she never, as you said, never gave any air of anything of superiority, and all the ed, her chachma, her knowledge, her scope was outstanding. And I think even though she was only mamash a few years older, I always saw her just as someone above and beyond, really, and everyone who met her from a young age is above and beyond her years. Which reminds us that it's not the quantity, but the quality of one's life.
Yeah. Can you share a Dvar Torah in her honor, something that can celebrate her? And we'll wrap up with that, like a big bow on this beautiful legacy of hers and stories, something that would resonate with her, will make her laugh because she's into sense of humor and Torah, and you know what would spark her. So can you share something in her honor?
Ma'achlis. So as I told you, I think it was because it was one of the last shiurim that I heard from her live on Yerushalayim Shel Vahab, and it was a continuing conversation. We kept continuing to speak about ideas that she had brought up in shiur, and Nomi Shemer speaks about Yerushalayim Shel Vahab, which is based on the tiara of Rachel, Ishto Shel Rabbi Akiva, and so she would always bring the Gemara and Nedarim and Avot Rabbi Natan. Rabbi Akiva would be after they were cast away by Kal Savua, so they were in a barn, and he would take out the tebben, he would take out the straw in her hair, and he would say, Ilulei, and halabai, that one day I could give you the Yerushalayim Shel Vahab. And one of the ideas there is that Rabbi Akiva, who always was able to see beyond, right? He looks at the jackals that come out of the Kodesh Kodashim, and he laughs, whereas everyone else cries, right? All of his peers. And Rabbi Akiva doesn't just see the present, he sees the past and he sees the future. And he sees the beauty of the future. And that's exactly it. When he's taking out the golden straw from his wife's hair, he's not thinking of the golden straw. He's thinking of what can be, what will be. He's thinking of that beautiful future. And what we know, which is really magnificent, is that Rabbi Akiva also, as a Talmud of Rabbi Elazar, would darshan that the Taltalim of HaKadosh Baruch Hu are the letters of the Sefer Torah, and it's Rabbi Akiva who, when he goes up when Moshe Rabbeinu goes up to Har Sinai and he asks Hashem, Mima keval yadacha, why aren't you giving us the Torah? He says, because there's going to be someone, literally in over 1,000 years, Akiva ben Yosef Shmo, and he's going to be Dorish these Ktarim. He's going to be Dorish the Tagim. And I remember Abigail saying so beautifully, anyone know how many halachot does Rabbi Akiva actually darshan? How many halachot does she learn from these Tagim? And the answer is none. I remember correctly how she said it. The answer is none. He doesn't learn any. So what is it that Rabbi Akiva is going to teach about these crowns? And the answer is, based on his wife, Rachel, he's going to teach what commitment to Torah is. Those are the crowns of the Torah, being committed to Torah. And that's why he gives his wife, who's so committed to Torah, he gives her the crown. So that even the wife of Rabbi Gamliel Hanasi says, why didn't you give me that? And he says, really? Were you willing for 24 years to even cut off your hair so that your husband could go learn Torah? And it's Rabbi Akiva who lives and dies with the Shema Yisrael on his lips, who understands what commitment to Torah is. And Abigail would always like to say that, again, that the crowns also that the kalot no longer wore after the Churban Beit HaMikdash. But those are the crowns that Bezrat Hashem we will wear in the future. And every time I teach about the crowns being commitments to Torah, and I think of Abigail, and it wasn't just Rachel, Gishto Shel Rabbi Akiva, but if there's someone who deserves that crown of Yerushalayim Shel Zahav, that love of Yerushalayim Shel Zahav, then it was Abigail. And I'll just take it one step further, and this is beautiful because this I learned from a mutual teacher of ours, from Rabbanit Malkabina, who we both adore and respect, and learned from the Gemara in Shabbos teaches that there are 3 opinions whether or not one is allowed to walk out with Yerushalayim Shel Zahav on Shabbos. The first opinion is that you're not allowed to walk around. Rabbi Meir says, nope, can't walk around with it on Shabbos. And the Gemara explains, because it's a very heavy piece of jewelry, and someone may take it off, and then you're going to be chayav carrying on Shabbos. And then the Chachamim say that you're not chayav, but you really shouldn't l'chatchila, because you may take it off, not because it's heavy, but because you want to show it off to people. And the third opinion, Rabbi Eliezer, again, it seems that this is the opinion of Rabbi Akiva as well, that Rabbi Eliezer says, no, you can go out with it on Shabbos, even l'chatchila, because only an Isha Chashuba would walk around with the Yerushalayim Shel Zahav, and she would never take it off. And Rabbanit Dina beautifully explained, she says, there are some people who walk around with either a love for Yerushalayim or a love for Torah, but really they see it as a burden. Such people who see it as a burden, they're going to easily take it off. First opportunity, they have to take it off. People who just learn Torah because it's something to show off to people, then sometimes they'll do it when they get credit, sometimes they won't. But only an Isha Chashuva, only someone who understands that this is literally the most beautiful crown of honor, crown of commitment. Such a woman will never, ever take off the Yerushalayim Shel Zahav. And then she can go out with it on Shabbos. So yes, I think about that when I think of Abigail. That's for Yerushalayim Shel Zahav. The commitment to Torah, the love of Torah, the beauty and the grandeur of Torah, and the ability to be able to see not just the present, but what needs to be done in the present for the sake of the future. I think, again, I don't know if you know this, but when people ask, the Gemara also talks about the last words. So the laugh wasn't even the last conversation Abigail and I had, was in the hospital, and it's just a few weeks before, and then I'd left her a message when I was leaving for camp, which is where I am, which is why it always brings back these very poignant memories. And because I was davening for 3 times a day, every single tefillah, And I still, in my mind, I remember leaving her a message, okay, I'll see you when we come home, which is going to be 7 weeks later. I'll see you when we come home. And I was really sure of it. And she had left me, and I didn't even know she had left me a message just literally 2 days before she passed away. And it was Shabbos, as you know. And I was davening, and who was saying a tachon lantanu right before Refa'inu. I felt something. It was really the strangest feeling. I felt for the first time, it was almost as if I was saying Refa'inu, that I was forgetting to say Avigail. But no, of course I was saying Avigail. And at the same time, something felt very strange. And I ran. There was actually, I ran back to the bunk. I remember to look at my phone because I felt something strange, and sure enough, I saw that she had passed away. Then I saw Ruza had told me, and he had sent it from Abigail's phone. So that's how I heard. And then I played the last message that she had left for me 2 days earlier. Can you imagine hearing it like a mechtab
Surreal.
and Tanakh?
It's surreal.
Surreal. Mamish surreal. So obviously I've never taken off any of her messages, but the message speaking about Rabbi Akiva and looking at the future, her message was Shani, because also I'd spoken all the time about how I want to set up her daughters, how I want to set up Dvorah, and Nahama had already was Baruch Hashem seeing someone at the time, and her last message was Shani, please take care of Dvorah, who Baruch Hashem is married, wonderful boy. And always, even then, can you imagine 2 days earlier,
Why?
knowing and making sure that you have planted those seeds for the future, beautiful seeds for the future, beautiful smachot, and if anyone could see Yerushalayim and its full glory, it was Abigail. And if anyone was deserving of wearing that Yerushalayim shall have a crown of commitment to Torah, it was Abigail.
So beautifully said, Shani. So beautifully said. Every word here was diamond for me, and I'm sure for anybody that knew her and still connects to her on these moments of what would Avigail say, or oh, this is what Avigail said, and just bringing her back down here with us in the day-to-day. And I'm grateful for your time and for your patience to share this with me, because she's my first cousin, and she was so humble that whoever didn't have the privilege of working with her, I don't think we understood the magnitude of her greatness, because these interactions, because she was so humble. And part of me is a little bit sad that I didn't have the opportunity to learn with her and to ask her all these complex questions she would probably laugh about, and find the humor in it, and the connections between here and there, and make like a beautiful tapestry of, oh, can't you see this and just make sense of it. And just so I really appreciate your time and your stories. And maybe now for the future, I know that if I have questions, I can ask Shani, what would Abigail say? How would she think? How would she process this? And one of the reason why I wanted to watch the Akedah, and I have the zchut of often asking Avram questions. I learned with him for a while. Every Sunday, there was a group of ladies from Boca learning with, some were her students and some were friends of her students. And I really feel like it's a kavod to learn with Avram. And I remember learning the Akedah, and I had a very hard time. Like, how does Hashem test in something that's 100% not allowed? How can a nisayon be in something that's 100% not allowed, not moral, awful? Like, how is that a nisayon? And I said, I wonder what Avigail would say about it. She so loved the Parashat Akedah. But when I watched it, I realized that what she was analyzing the relationships. She wasn't focused so much on the why She didn't even focus on that, I should say, because it wasn't even a question for her. There must be a reason we won't understand. We might not understand in our human mind, but she was focused on the relationships between Avram and Hashem and Avram and Yitzchak and Yitzchak and Sarah and the compassion, the love, the connection.
Yeah.
And you said it so beautifully that her kids were her everything. And Torah, Hashem was also. And when she explains her emotions in the Akedah, was about the relationship. That's where she gets emotional. When Yitzchak thinks of Sarah and the pain, and take this to memory take a part of me as a memory and take care of my mommy.
And it was both take care of my mommy, take care of my father, take care of my daughters, take care of my siblings. She also loved her siblings and her cousins, by the way. But yes, and I hear because I think it wasn't just that she taught Akedah so often, both Yom Norah and time, obviously, for Rosh Hashanah, but throughout the year. She gave a whole course on Akedah zikhra. And I still do see there were so many expressions of Parshanim that she would just recite so fluently because she was so well versed in all of them. And I can just see her saying, and right away saying, the Rashbam understands the Nisayon as a punishment. And the Ramban understands it's a nes litnosespo. And literally, like I've heard her saying this, and there are two different ways of looking, just as you said, of looking at the Nisayon, in addition to Avram's relationship with Dr. Baruch, exploring the entire story from so many different dimensions, but specifically, as you asked, with regard to Nisayon. And I think that this is very much how she saw her own Nisyonot, that on one hand, if you see something as a punishment, if you see it, then you look and you see, what did I do in the past? What can I do to fix what I've done in the past? But then you end up more or less where you were in the past. Right? You end up okay, but that's one way of looking at a Nisayon. The other is the Ramban, and she loved the Ramban. That the Ramban understands a Nisayon not as a punishment, but as an opportunity. Yeah. That's really Avigail, who I think saw even her initial diagnosis and then the recurring diagnosis. She saw it as an opportunity just to keep going, an opportunity to invest as much as she could. And it wasn't, just as you said, it wasn't about the lamas. And I asked her actually that Erev Rosh Hashanah, I asked her, I said, Abigail, do you ever ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu, are you angry with HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Without even a question. We didn't even explore it further. It was just, no. And it really, and we both understood, meaning if it's not about the lamas, because we're never going to get those answers. It's about lama. What can I do with this now?
What's the opportunity in this moment?
Yes. If there's anyone who pushed through with valor and with strength and with chesed and with hakarat satov, if there's anyone.
May her neshama have an aliyah, and may we take some of her brilliance that she left on this earth and we put it into our life, weave it into our life, and incorporate some of her brilliant wisdom, her living alive now. And we realize what a blessing it is to have known her and to learn from her, and for you to be her yadidat nefesh. And thank you for this opportunity.
Matana, thank you. And I'm going to end with Gail from Tanach. I say we, referring to Yael and I saying this, but really everyone around Abigail, the play that she lives up to the Abigail of Tanach, Tobat Sechel, Yefat Torah, Mamlash Mary, just a beautiful and tied out, and Tobat Sechel, in every sense, both in Bemet and learning and scholarship, in pragmatism, and in lessons for life.
Yaakov, hu yevarech